Great. So I think we can get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and our incredible panelists today. And today we are going to have an exciting discussion around improving the passenger experience through data. I will introduce our panelists today, but before that, I want to go over a brief agenda and a few housekeeping items. We'll start with introductions, and then I'll guide the conversation with a few questions for our wonderful panelists. Through these questions, we'll discover the journey of data, and we'll understand how the data can be transformed into a better passenger experience. Today, we'll finish with a question and answer session, a Q&A session with all the participants. As we go through the webinar, feel free to ask relevant questions there, and we'll be monitoring the channel. So when we finish, we'll get through as many questions as we can. So I want to make sure that you know how to submit your questions. So on the bottom of your webinar window, you'll see a Q&A button. So you can click on that and then send the question that you may have. So at any point during the session today, feel free to submit as many questions as you want. Great. So now that we are all set, let's get started. Let's start with some introductions. I'm so excited to be joined by this incredible cast today. We have 4 panelists in total, 3 of them from different authorities in Sweden and 1 from the Open Data Portal. I'll start in alphabetical order, and I apologize in advance because I'm not proficient in Swedish, so sorry if I mispronounce names or last names. Let's start with Anastasia Malmros, Development Manager at Skåne Trafiken. We also have Carl West, Traffic Planner from Region Värmland, Håkan Östlund, Partner Manager from Samtrafiken, and Robert Eriksson, Database GIS Administrator from Xtraffic. I just want to say welcome to our panelists today. Very happy to be here with you today. Then I'll be moderating today's session. I'm Marta, Senior Sales Engineer at Swiftly. I've been always focused on how technology can improve public transportation, and it is great to be here today, having the opportunity I had the opportunity to work with all the different panelists and walk with them through the journey of data. So before we dive into the journey of data, let's take a look at the companies participating today. Samtrafiken manages all the data from public and private transport operators, and they coordinate Sweden's public transport data. They also develop and manage ticketing and payment standards. They launched Traffic Lab, which is the name of the Open Data Portal for public transport in Sweden. They launched it in 2012, and right now they have more than 5,000 users. And Håkan is representing Samtrafiken today. Then if we move to the 3 different authorities joining us today, we have Carl from Region Värmland. So Region Värmland has 2 different brands depending on if it is city traffic or regional traffic. City traffic is the name of Karlstad Bus, and Värmlands traffic for the regional traffic. And then the second authority that we have is Skåne Trafiken, is the authority in the region of Skåne. Anastasia is representing Skåne Trafiken today. The region of Skåne is the 3rd largest county in Sweden, so that means a huge challenge with a lot of passengers and daily journeys. And then we have Xtraffic. Xtraffic is the name of the authority in region Gävleborg. Robert is coming from Xtraffic today. They work both in developing the traffic and the network, the short term and long term. So many challenges that we'll discover in more detail today. And then I'm on behalf of Swiftly, a big data platform for public transport. The company was founded in 2014 in San Francisco in the US. Since then, we've grew a lot. We are more than 70 employees now, and we are working in 90 cities across the globe, including Sweden. So now that you have an idea of who's who, the companies that we have today, let's jump into the journey of data. So today, I'm inviting you to take a ride with me. You can choose, maybe you prefer the train or the bus, but I'm inviting you to get in the bus or the train, you choose the mode, and then walk with us through this journey. The journey of data that we are going to discover today is how the data gets from the vehicles, how the data flows into all the different systems, and you are going to discover that today, and how the data can be transformed into a better passenger experience. Along the journey today, we are going to make different stops. The first stop will be with Samtrafiken, and we'll understand how Samtrafiken integrates all the data from different authorities, operators, how the data is processed and published on Traffic Lab, the open data portal. That's our first stop, getting the data. Then the second stop of our journey is Swiftly and how the data can be transformed into insights. So we'll see how Swiftly integrates the data and we make it available on our Swiftly dashboard. And then the third stop of the journey, we'll discover how authorities are making use of data, of all the visualizations, and how they are transforming that data into real projects, into specific use cases to improve the network and improve the service that they provide. Okay, so 3 stops across the journey today. First one, getting the data. Second one, transforming the data into insights. And then the third one, transforming the different visualizations into actions. So let's start with the first stop of our journey. Håkan, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you. And good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, maybe.
Let's start from the beginning. I know Samtrafiken touches many areas like ticketing, journey planner. Yeah. Let's start with what type of data sets do you integrate?
We can start with static data then, and it's mainly timetables, stops, and lines that we integrate, and then we refine the data with walking links and changeover times and other data as well before we distribute or publish it. And then we have, of course, real-time data as well, both calculated real-time data and position data. Since a while ago, we also collect some occupancy data from some of our owners.
Mm-hmm. And maybe I was thinking that maybe this is relevant for the audience. Who are the owners of Samtrafiken? How are you organized?
Sweden consists of 21 regions, which handle the public transport for each region. And above that, there are private operators as well. And most of them are owners of Samtrafiken. So we're an industry-owned company, you can say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. And I guess in the market, there are many formats, and I know that there are many authorities, operators, lots of different systems, and dealing with data, I guess it is challenging sometimes. Which formats and data processing do you apply?
Yeah, well, we collect our data mainly in NOPTIs, both static and real-time data, but we also use We can also provide NetX as a format for collecting data, and CD for real-time data as well. Noptis can handle both static and real-time data, and then we have NetX and CD as well. And we distribute data or publish data in for the moment in GTFS and GTFS real-time format. So on the way, we transform the data to GTFS and GTFS real-time data.
And one question, is Noptis used in Sweden, or is that format or that standard used in other countries?
Well, GTFS and GTFS real-time is used widely, I would say. NetX and Siri are standards that are used within the EU mainly for the moment due to regulations within the Commission. And Noptis is a format very much used mainly in Sweden, but I believe it's also used in Norway and Denmark for some operators or regions as well, but mainly in Sweden. So it's a more or less market developed standard, you can say, for Sweden, and some others are using it as well. But it's very, very common in Sweden. Most of our regions and especially the bigger of them are using it.
Okay, so you collect the data then in Noptis, the Swedish standard, and that's for both static and real-time data.
Yeah, and we collect it from different systems, both planning systems and traffic information systems.
And I guess coordinating with almost 60 authorities and operators, that's a lot. That's an incredible job.
Yeah. And we do that on a daily basis as well.
That's fantastic. I guess at the end, you have to coordinate with multiple actors to carry out the initiative. So I guess if you had to pick or select the key components, what's the key component for a successful implementation of a new data set?
Well, to start with, that is to use standardized formats, which everyone is common with, and to structure, to build a model, to structure the information that everyone use as well. Because when it comes to aggregation of data from different operators and different regions later on, that's very important as well. Otherwise, I would say we have a close and frequent collaboration with all our owners and partners on a daily basis, and through forums that we have set up together in the industry. So it's ongoing work all the time when it comes to quality of data and which data we will collect and publish on top of that.
And in terms of data quality, how are you measuring that and making sure that the data that you collect is useful for consumers?
Well, for the moment, we have a special unit at Samtrafiken with a couple of persons that are there in an optic way, looking at data through travel planners and checking that it works as it should. But in the future, we are planning to have more system monitoring solutions for the data, and we're looking at that right now. So this is something for the future, maybe that will be a larger part of our work, how to qualify and look at the quality of the data.
I must say that, well, I've been working, or I've been consuming data from many different open data portals, and I can say that Traffic Lab is one of my favorites. So I think you are already doing a great job at monitoring the data quality, but it is exciting to see that you also have plans on developing that, because it is not only the data that you publish, but the data needs to be in a good quality so that it can be used elsewhere.
Yeah, true.
Great. And you mentioned that you are collaborating daily with authorities and operators. I guess, how is that process of working with integrating a new data set, or maybe getting connected to the data from a new operator, new system, or a new authority?
Well, everything is actually based on national or EU law, what we have to collect for the first. And then we interact with everyone, and the responsibilities are divided through this unit and the teams working with our operators and owners. So it's more or less like a daily ongoing work, day by day, to discuss what can we do to improve the quality, what data do we need now, and once a year to provide next year's planning for the whole network of public transport. We have sessions which starts about now in the spring and goes on till the autumn, which next year then for this it would be 2022. How will the connections with all the data and the routes and lines and change over times and everything look like? And that includes all modes, both buses, trains, subways, trams, ferries, and everything. So it's an ongoing work that ends somewhere in November, and then the new timetables for next year and everything is published in the beginning of December, and then it starts again directly, more or less, in February next year for the year coming after that. So it's an ongoing process all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is true what you mentioned, that you have multiple modes of transport.
Yeah.
Now they are more connected. They are more connected, like more now than ever. And
Yeah.
it is a challenge also, like new data sets are popping up, so you need to handle more data.
Yeah. For example, occupancy data, which we're started to handle right now, and that is within the format of Notice, which we have created in the industry, more or less a sub format within the Notice format for that, called the APC RDA, and that is then handled. And then to make that work, we also need some vehicle information. We need how many seats there are in each vehicle and everything to make that work. And that, but then we publish it in GTF as real time for this data as well.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, if
you're welcome.
For the participants today, if you have any questions for Håkan, if you would like to know a little bit more about the data and the type of processing that they do, please post them on the chat. And let's move to the second stop then, transforming data into insights. So once the data is published and it is available to data consumers, then there is a lot of things that could be done with the data. And that's what Swiftly does. Swiftly takes the data and transforms it into insights. We consume, in this case for Sweden, the data from Traffic Lab, and we consume timetable and real-time location. It's very simple. With the timetable, we know where vehicles are scheduled to be and when. With that in mind, is like we understand what was the promise that was made for passengers. And then in parallel, we integrate real-time vehicle location. That's information in real time where vehicles are. So that way we can compare that promise to what is happening in reality. Additionally, we also consume other type of data sets like speed information, occupancy data, as Håkan was mentioning, or passenger counting data and driver ID to create also targeted or more focused visualizations. But the main two data sets that we need to set up the system are timetable and real-time vehicle location. As Håkan explained, there are many formats and different standards in the industry. For Traffic Lab, we are consuming it in GTFS and GTFS real time, but there are also other formats that we can integrate. So with the timetable and real-time vehicle location, we have three different product lines. First one is transit time. Transit time is to provide real-time information to passengers that is very accurate, so they don't miss the bus. Then insights is historical data analytics. With insights, our customers can identify trends where buses are getting delayed, so to identify those areas and fix them. That way, they can improve the punctuality and reliability of the network of the service. And then metronome is the third product line. We know that even if you have the perfect plan and even if you have the perfect vehicle, things happen. And there are a lot of incidents that can happen during the operation. So that's what metronome is all about. Closing the loop and keeping everyone informed with the latest information when any operational incident happens. And that means keeping drivers informed of any deviation, detour, any diversion, any stop closure, and so on. So drivers, operators, authorities, and also passengers are aware of all those changes and incidents in real time, so they can take an informed decision and choose an alternative way of traveling. So with these three different product lines, we are gonna jump into a very quick demonstration of the platform. I want you to have a quick overview of what type of visualizations we have. Let's start with a real-time view. Right now, we are on the live operations module in Swiftly, and we are looking at the city of Reykjavik in Iceland right now. So this is the snapshot. This is how these routes that I selected are right now performing. And so you can see the purple lines. That's the information that is coming from the timetable. And then the different bubbles, the different vehicles that are moving around, that's the information that is coming from the real-time vehicle location. The different colors indicate what's the punctuality of the network. If the bubbles are green, it means that the buses are driving on time with respect to the schedule. If you see some yellow buses, that means that there are buses running a little bit late. And then the red ones are the vehicles that are running early. Then if you click on one stop, you could get all the information. If there is an incident, if there is a delay, if that stop is closed, you will get that information. And also you get the predictions for each of the routes of when the next vehicle will arrive. That's all about keeping passengers informed. And then you can get the snapshot of the punctuality of the network in real time on a map, on a list, or there are other visualizations to understand how the network is performing right now. If we move into more historical visualizations, we can look at GPS playback. So GPS playback enables you to go back into the past and replay what happened. You can see that right now we are looking at what happened last Tuesday at 7:45 in the morning, and you can follow every single vehicle. And then if you zoom in, you can also see all the GPS pings that were sent to our system at some point. So you can always go back into the past and replay what happened. If we move to the more aggregated historical data, here we have on-time performance. So right now we are looking at the last 2 weeks of data for this authority, and we are looking at the punctuality for the whole network with 88% of the trips being on time. You can also prioritize and sort the information to understand which route has the highest amount of early departures. You can also select a geographical area, a particular set of routes that you are monitoring that have different contract parameters and so on. So you can get through the different visualizations, the full picture of the route. For the lines or the routes that are based on frequency, those routes that you promise to passengers, there will be a bus every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes. Vehicle spacing, understanding if that 5 minutes was true at the end or not, is what matters. And then that's what Headway Insights is all about, understanding if the current infrastructure is aligned with maintaining that frequency or not, and getting different visualizations to understand that. Then we also have runtimes view. Runtimes view is perfect to understand the timetable, to understand if the driving times are corresponding to the traffic levels, and understand if the timetable that you set can be operated or not. So you can see, for example, here we are looking at the last 2 weeks of data. This green segment represents the time that was allocated in the timetable, and then the bar represents the time that took. We can see that here it is a pretty good distribution of the time, and then on the other direction, it looks like it is not the same. So what we do is also, apart from visualizing this data, we also make suggestions on how to improve the timetable, to improve at the end of the day the punctuality of the service. So here we have some suggestions to improve the overall punctuality of this route for 6% improvement. And then just to wrap up, we know that communicating is very important, and communicating the needs and the behavior of the network is very important to get a dialogue with the communities and the operators and other colleagues. So having visual ways of understanding the average speed is very important. Here we can see a map where we are looking at the average speed of each segment. So we can see that this is based on more than 200 trips. Also, we can understand the dwell time, how much time buses spend at each stop. And then if we wanted to get into more details and understand what's happening at an intersection level or crossing level, then you can also do that by getting the average speed at smaller segments. So I hope that today you got just a brief idea of the type of visualizations that the Swiftly platform offers. And then now we are gonna talk about how these different visualizations are used by the 3 authorities and how they are making use of the data. So if we recap a little bit, we are just about getting into our third stop of the journey of data. We've seen how the data gets integrated, how the data is transformed into different visualizations to get insights. And now let's talk about how the data can be transformed into actions. So Robert, Carl, and Anastasia, once again, thank you for having us. And let's start with the first question. How is data helping your day-to-day job?
Hey everyone. Well, different modules help different units in X-Traffic in our daily work. For example, the live operation helps us to see a strange driving pattern in how the traffic is really driving. So the customer service can quickly see the vehicle and the route and the trip in different views, as we saw here before, and they can even answer questions directly to the customer who is calling in. So we also have benefit from searching for a special vehicle, and we can follow this vehicle also. So the connection between the first module, live operation, and the GPS playback is important to find a specific line or a specific trip, and for a special or a certain time, and then we can investigate what really had happened. So it's easy to see, to compare driving pattern from one day to another. You just choose one day or a time band, and then you can easily change the day. You can look yesterday or last week, and you can compare these driving pattern also. So we can easily see if, for example, a logged in trip is run as the assignment for which has been logged, or if it's a wrong trip. So it's helping us in the day work to investigate that. The modules on-time performance and run times are used by the traffic planners, and the combination of these two modules is a value to see what first we can evaluate the existing traffic, we can look for the timetable, and we can compare it with the real time. And then we go to the next module, the run times, and we can see what is impossible to improve or to optimize for maybe for one line or a direction of a line. So, and then it's possible to change the plan time for the time points maybe, or we can change the timetable for the whole line or a trip. So these two modules, on-time performance and runtime, is a good tool to see where we can change and even save some money. The traffic planner has also used the speed map module to understand how the speed in the city is affected and how the traffic is carried out. So we have also been able to provide document from Swiftly or the data here and to the city of Gävle to make it better. So that is the need that we have, the benefit we have of these modules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hi, Anastasia is here. I really agree with everything that Robert has just said. And I would like to begin with our actually main goal for the public transportation. The goal is to provide value to the passengers. So we would like to increase ridership. We would like more travelers with the public transportation, and we would like to increase satisfaction of our passengers. And very basic in this work is attractive and reliable timetable. So planning is fundamental in order to achieve our goals. So Swiftly and these insights that we can get in a runtimes module and on-time performance module are really important to us in order to make the proper planning work. And I think it's everywhere, but in Sweden in particular, collaboration is a very important word. So we collaborate all the time with our operators and with municipalities. And in order to do this collaboration effective, we need to have the same data that we're looking at. So we're not having different sources of data, but now we have the same platform that we can begin with and have a discussion. Okay, look here, probably there's some extra minutes or probably some timetable would need to be adjusted, but then we have the same picture of it. Or with the municipality, okay, look here, in just this street, just this corridor, it's something that's disturbing public transportation. Can we have a look at it? So we create the good fundament for our dialogue, and it's really helpful and important in order to achieve our goals. And of course, we through looking at our timetables can make them more effective. We can reduce our costs sometimes as well. And this work that our planners do, both Skånetrafik and authority side, and planners that are doing it on the operational side at our operators, it saves quite a lot of time. It is very easy and really customer friendly tool that we really appreciate. So overall, I would say that this kind of data and the same platform to us increasing our collaboration and helps us to take this data-driven decisions. It's not just guess, it's data-driven, so we can prove it, we see it all together.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think you touch a point that is very important. The ultimate objective is to get more passengers, to attract them to the use of public transportation. And how can you get that? You need to start with providing a pleasant journey for the passengers that you are having right now. So yeah, I think that's kind of the main goal, and data can help you to get that. Carl, I know that you are using data and you've been always data driven. How is data helping in your case?
Well, before Swiftly, with my old reporting tool, I used to spend something like half a day per line just gathering data in order to do analyze later. But now I can just bring everything forward with just a few clicks and spend the time analyzing instead. So that's a very big improvement. And then in the day-to-day basis, I mainly use the on-time performance module to do quick health check of the system. And during each planning cycle, I use the on-time performance module to see if there's any specific parts of the line that needs attention. And I also spend a lot of time with the runtimes module to try and find the correct runtime for every specific trip.
Mm-hmm. I remember you mentioned that you have an allergy to constant late buses.
Yeah, I try to find the right driving time for each trip, so that we don't have any chronic delays, that the same trip is delayed every day, for example. Mm-hmm. Then it's time to optimize the timetable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where if you see as a passenger, if you are getting the bus and you are constantly late, is when you decide to not rely that much on public transportation. You can accept that maybe there is one day something happened and that's okay, but I can understand why you focus on the trips or the routes that are constantly getting delayed, because that's what is having a negative impact on passengers. So we want to fix that. Great. We can maybe move to the next question. That is, what improvements are you implementing in your timetables thanks to data? some specific use cases or projects that you are carrying out or that you are planning on carry out. Who wants to start?
I can start if you want.
Okay.
Okay. So, well, the traffic planners for Gästrikland is one part of Extrafik, has made some adjustment for two routes, routes 141 with 5 minutes in one direction, and another route, route number 41, and 2 minutes in one direction. It may not sound like much, but line 41 is a long line with heavy traffic, and to save just 1 or 2 minutes in running time for this line is a huge benefit. So it's a good tool. So the planner has also looked at to optimize the summer traffic much more than we had before. So it became clear that it's need to do that. It has to be done. So, and it will be possible to make, first of all, a better timetable for the customers, and it's possible to save some money also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's important, like maybe you think 1 minute is just 1 minute, but it can be a lot actually, like, yeah. What about Anastasia or Carl?
Yeah, I totally agree what Robert tells. Just a couple of minutes can play a huge role, especially like here in Skåne, we have over 150 lines. So 1 minute here, 1 minute there, soon it will be hours, and extra buses that is needed in order to operate the traffic. So yeah, this reduction of costs, of course, is one of the main points to more timetable, more effective. And to make actually a better timetable, the more exact timetable, that's what's count for our customers, for our travelers. You'll need that bus will be exact on time on your stop, and will take you to the train station exact at this time, because you have to take the train to continue your journey. So that's why it has to be reliable, and reliable timetable, it means a lot to customers in order them to be satisfied. And then, of course, internally, both on operators and our side, how fast and how effective it is now to work with these timetables, because we have a couple of shifts during the year. We're changing timetable in December, and then before summer, and then after summer. So every time you need to kind of go through all the lines in order to just verify if run times are correct. And now in this situation which we are in with the pandemic, of course, the run times have changed a lot. There are less traffic outside, there are less passengers. So yeah, we need to be able to go through the lines pretty quick and effective each time before we're changing timetable. So now it's going so much faster and so much more effective as it was before, thanks to this data and these visualizations. And then, yeah, we're following up our contracts with operators, following up punctuality. On-time performance module is helping us with that. So following ups are quick and simple as well. So that's what I would say, our improvements.
Well, generally, I try to work from 2 different directions and reduce driving times when the buses are early, and perhaps add minutes when the buses are late, and thus getting better on-time performance. Or perhaps simply moving minutes from one time point to another. And then early on, when I started using Swiftly, I noticed that our on-time performance would fluctuate a bit in between time points. And that's because most of our stops have an interpolated timetable that are depending on average speeds in our planning system. So by using Swiftly's speed map module and inputting better speeds in our planning system, I was able to improve the timetable and the timetables and the on-time performance as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned, sometimes when we are thinking about timetables, we think about the whole journey, but sometimes in between that trip, there are stops and there are small changes that those changes don't impact the overall driving time, maybe, of that trip. However, by making small changes in between the stops, as you described, Carl, you can improve the overall punctuality of the network. So sometimes getting into the details of what is happening in between the time points is very important. And especially because at the end of the day, passengers don't really know what is a stop and a timing point. Like, for them, each stop is the same, and the experience and the punctuality at each stop should be equally good.
Yes, definitely.
Great. Let's move to the next question. This is also not only for the authorities, but also for some trafficking as well. As we have here different points of views from the authorities, also from the Open Data Portal. What do you think are the overall benefits of using Traffic Lab or an Open Data Portal? Who wants to start?
I can start.
Okay.
Well, I see it as a way to do a quality check of our own data. I think open data is going to be more important in the future. So if we ourselves consume the open data, it's a way to improve the overall quality. Whatever time we spent on integration of Swiftly in the beginning was actually spent looking at errors or peculiarities of our own data. We started finding perhaps stops with the wrong coordinates and missing links and things like that. And all of those things help to improve the calculation of real times and things like that.
And what about integrations or implementation of a new system? Anastasia, I know that in the past we were talking the other day that whenever you get a new system, implementation or integrating the data is one of the important stages of one project like this one. And with Traffic Lab already making the data available, you didn't have to worry about that part. How's that experience has been for you?
Yeah, well, of course, it's just great. That's us as the part who's describing our needs. I don't actually have to care about data and integration and so on. I just describe my needs. I need to follow up the timetable. I need to be able to get so exact times and running times as possible. I would need to see different speeds in the city and it's just great. And it's all just became possible that I personally, who's thinking in this kind of describing needs side, I don't need to care about this technical problems or how you integrate exactly, because apparently everything is already available through the traffic lab. So it was just great to learn that. And yeah, I think that of course it's an overall benefit of the open data is just we as authorities have, of course, a very big costs in order to develop all these kind of tools. And sometimes probably it's not necessary that we would develop it ourselves. Data is open, let market help us with that. So just catch up our needs in a good way and let market just do it. So I think that's actually overall goal, to have this open data. Otherwise we will not be able to develop stuff so so quickly and adjust to a changing world.
Robert, what's your take on that?
Yes, it's as you already were saying, it's open data, it's free, it's available and to everyone. You don't need any replication on your own database. You don't need an extra cost or extra work to make all these data available to those who want to build programs like Swiftly, for example. So just one platform. It's a great benefit of using Traffic Lab.
And Håkan, from your point of view, being the one dealing with all the data, how do you see?
Yeah, we could see it from different directions. It depends a little bit of who you are in this process. If you're the operator and for instance, the owner of some traffic, and this provides an opportunity for you to release your data and publish it on a platform that you don't have to manage on your own. So we help everyone with that, and the innovation hopefully increase with open data on a national platform like this. So it's more or less like a one-stop shop for a developer who needs the data. So that's very good for them, and hopefully there will be a lot of solutions and services for the travelers that comes out of it. So that's the whole purpose of it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much today. I think we have some time for Q&A. So as we've been doing the webinar today, we have a few questions. Let's try and end in the next 5 minutes. So I will start with a question for the authorities that they asked. It says, what definition of on time, early or late do you use? I can start with saying from our experience that depends, and that can be changed in the platform, but maybe you can just quickly run through what definition you have at your company.
Yeah, in Scon traffic, and we have the interval -1 minute to +3 minutes that you have to quick kind of this interval on the stop.
It's the same for us. We use these. We use these also, but sometimes you can change it and you can see a different pattern if you change these minutes before and minutes delay. So it's a great tool.
Well, in the region of Värmland, we haven't really decided for a common goal yet because of our history with 2 brands. So we actually have 2 definitions. So for the regional traffic, they use 0 minutes early and 3 minutes late. And for the city traffic, I use 30 seconds early to 2 minutes late.
Mhm. Okay, we have another question that is, I think, for the both Swiftly and authorities. It says as following: what is the relationship between the main planning and scheduling tool and the tools of Swiftly? I can start and then you can also complement as you have both tools. It is a complementary tool. I think Carl already explained how the data captured and the insights and the trends from, for example, historical speed can be feed back into the scheduling and planning system to improve a timetable. But maybe Carl, you have the experience working with the planning system and the analytics. Maybe you can also complement that.
Yeah, well, to put it simply, Swiftly is a way to analyze the data and then, well, hopefully use it in the planning system. In my usual planning system, I don't really have any options to analyze historical data, so I need to do that somewhere else, and then Swiftly works great.
Great. We also have one for some Trafiken, and it says as follows: what are the new data sets, or what types of data sets are you looking at integrating in the near future?
None more than we have actually for the moment. We are looking to build a solution for the moment that will make it possible to publish Siri as well as collecting it. We can collect it, but we can't publish it yet. So that's the last item, I would say, for the moment. Then we have it in GTFS and GTFS real time and NetX and Siri, and there are no other plans for the moment to widen that scope, so to say, for the moment. But we will follow the market, and if there will be changes and other needs, and if our mainly our owners need something else, we will develop that.
Mm-hmm. We also have, I think it is a question or a comment about infrastructure. So they are saying buses running are also subject to congestion caused by other forms of traffic, like private cars or others. So, for example, to locate a street or corridors where the municipality should consider a bus lane, how can you analyze those type of situations? Robert, I know you've been in dialogues with the municipalities about the infrastructure and the speed. Maybe you can
well, we have just make some analysis with the speed map, and we are looking for the center of Gävle, and we are looking for the data, the average speed between different stops in the center of Gävle. And of course, it's where the line is going now. So it's make some information to see where we have the real problem. And when we see where we have the problem, it can open up to make some infrastructure change, or if it's possible to make another way with the bus. So it's good to have to see exactly what is the speed, or where do we have the problem in the infrastructure, or we don't know it really, if it's the other traffic or if it's this signal priority or something else, but we can see where we have problems.
Great. Well, it is one, so that's all for today. Thank you so much, Robert, Håkan, Carl, and Anastasia, for your time today. It's great listening to all your projects and Your contributions to the journey of data is huge, so I'm sure passengers appreciate it a lot. On behalf of Swiftly, thank you for taking part of this session today. And I also wanted to thank all participants that joined us today. I hope you enjoyed the session. We'll be following up with the recorded version of the webinar, and we'll also make sure to answer all the questions that we received. Thank you so much and have a great day.